Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, as co-chair of the OECD UNDP, Tax Inspectors Without Borders, it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's important discussion. We are facing an unprecedented global crisis with profound implications. The COVID-19 pandemic is affecting every aspect of our lives. Now, while COVID-19 does not discriminate between rich and poor, developing countries have been among those hardest hit. Domestic resources, which are the main source of financing for developing countries, have been put under immense strain. Sharp declines in global and domestic trade have lowered tax revenues from goods and services, and many small island developing states are collecting fewer revenues from commodities, natural resources, and tourism. In many sectors, multinational enterprises are better equipped to sustain the impacts of COVID-19, while small and medium-sized enterprises are struggling to survive. In this context, Tax Inspectors Without Borders remains an important tool to ensure developing countries collect all the taxes due from multinational enterprises. And there is a lot more that we can do to help. Today, we launch the 2020 Tax Inspectors Without Borders annual report. It reflects on TIWB's achievements from January 2019 to June 2020. It also includes information on our recent stock-taking exercise and sets out recommendations for the future. Now, demand for Tax Inspectors Without Borders continues to grow. Strong demand for TIWB assistance confirms that addressing compliance among MNEs is a high priority for developing countries. And with tolerance for international tax avoidance and tax evasion at an all-time low, we expect demand to grow further. Developing countries report that TIWB programs are supporting domestic efforts to implement international tax standards, as well as their participation in the inclusive framework on base erosion and profit shifting, the so-called BEPS. So, Tax Inspectors Without Borders is helping build the capacity of developing countries that they can have better equipped, better skilled, better trained tax auditors. And they do this through on-the-job experience to ensure that domestic tax laws are being applied appropriately, that governments are collecting the tax revenue that they are owed, the fair share. Our 2020 annual report shows that to this date, additional tax revenues raised by developing countries through 80 Tax Inspectors Without Borders programs currently exceed $537 million US, but with an overall tax assessment in excess of $1.8 billion US. So TIWB represents excellent value for money with a return on investment of about $70 for every dollar that has been spent. 70 to 1. Where else can you get this kind of return? So we want to keep growing. Despite the constraints imposed by the COVID-19 crisis, TIWB remains open for business, thanks to the measures that are helping our experts deliver assistance remotely. We're extending the TIWB focus to provide support in other areas of taxation, including tax crime investigations and the effective use of automatically exchanged information, both of which will help fight illicit financial flows. We're also rolling out programs to cover tax treaty negotiations and tax treaty administration, tax and natural resource contracts, tax and the environment. So, to lead TIWB operations in this new era, I am pleased to announce that Ms. Rusudan Kemularia has been appointed the new head of the Tax Inspectors Without Borders Secretariat. She's a Georgian national, and we believe Ms. Kemularia, because of her experience, she's actually spent a decade working on tax matters, including as Georgia's Vice Minister of Finance, that she will bring a lot of experience to this job. We're enthusiastic about the new energy and direction that she will bring to the TIWB initiative. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, in this crisis, we need to keep up the momentum to improve domestic revenue mobilization. Therefore, TIWB remains a best practice example of how effective 21st century development assistance should be designed, developed, and delivered. This is critical as we usher in a decade of ambitious action to deliver the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Thank you for your continued support.